Hello there, and welcome back to Corey Loses, where today we're starting a brand new preview playthrough as the CIS in Fall of the Republic 1.3, the beta build, because we have reached the beta stage. So while the mod is not quite done, everything you're going to be seeing is still technically a work in progress. We are very close to the actual release. But we're going to be taking a look at the new progressive layout on the Clone Wars small map in this playthrough. All of the progressive maps have been redone from the last build. So we're going to be starting in 22 BBY as the CIS on the small map. Well, let's get into it. A bunch of changes have happened in the last while. We haven't really done too many progressive map preview playthroughs in 1.3. I focused a lot on the new story mission, so there should be a lot of new stuff to look at here. But we'll start by reading what Count Dooku has to say, because he's a very talkative guy. After the unfortunate mess with the Jedi at Geonosis, the time has come for the Confederacy to reveal ourselves. Master Yoda's complacency has allowed the evil of the Republic to fester for far too long, and it's high time the galaxy be rid of its stench. Alright, so there have been new maps that have been made for every different starting era with different planets, more appropriate planets for certain things, and some other planets that have been asked for quite some time in the progressive maps. Mandalore, which used to be just in from the ground up, I believe, is now, and I think in Outer Rim Sieges, but it's now in the progressive maps as well with some fun new content that we're going to see. That's why I want to get there first. So let's just get straight into that battle. I'm going to give ourselves a Pathfinder and then zoom in a lot more than I intended. Like, part of the issue before is that some people on the team would be talking about like ways we could potentially add Mandalore, and they'd be saying like this is the way, and then other people would disagree and they're like this is the way. But luckily we came to some decisions that we think will work for everyone, so it all worked out. But let's get in there now. And one of the things that I do in these playthroughs, the preview playthroughs, is for people who are patrons, channel members here on YouTube, or Twitch subscribers over on the Twitch channel, they are able to name a ship that I use in the playthrough, so you'll see a bunch of the custom names throughout this. That's not in the release version of the mod. That is entirely as a way for me to thank the people who make content creation possible as a full-time job for me. So if you're interested in getting a name in the playthrough, there will be a link in the description on how that works. But for now, we're going to jump some of those guys in. We have, first of all, I'm going to send you further in. We have Dark Profiteer. And then we are going to get Hydra Dominatus. We have Tempest. We are going to put in one of the Core Destroyers, which is one of the new units for this release. We have SpaceX, which hopefully will not blow up. Let's throw in as well Victory over Yadu, basically an SSD, and Grievous himself in the Renator. Then Debt Collector, and Darkseid has cookies. So hopefully this should be enough to pop through it. But you'll also see some of the updated particles and projectiles that have been worked on over the course of the release. One of the things that I did show off in the Mandalorian playthrough, if you haven't seen that, is the garrisons for shipyards start further up now. So rather than waiting to be part of the battle for the entire time, they'll be able to get into the battle more rather than just sort of like trickling in and being useless 90% of the time. So that should help with sort of the pacing and the scale of the battles. But it's also a thing that I'm going to have to get used to still. And I'm sure a lot of people are going to have to get used to still, because it's really easy to just get into old habits and have stuff explode because you weren't expecting it. But I think we're going to be okay here. But yeah, so the Core Destroyer is not a ship that you're going to be able to build. There are a few ship types that have been added for a lot of the Republic and CIS stuff in the... Oop, you are not looking well there. We lost ourselves a Munificent, which is kind of unfortunate. I didn't think we'd be losing any of those. I didn't think we'd lose anything in this battle, but I was too busy in cinematic mode. So that's my fault. I need... Okay, that was just the same one dying. Okay, we're good. We're good. We're good. Yeah, I think we're good. We might still have something coming in. But yeah, so one of the things you'll see over the course of this playthrough is that there are a lot more, or there's a new way we handle the generic missions, so the ones that get They're not like story progressing. They're instead like go and capture this planet, build these units, build some stations, that kind of intervention mission. So those have a bigger pool of unique rewards. So rather than making the buildable roster for the CIS and Republic just keep ballooning, for anything that doesn't necessarily fill a role we need filled for their basic gameplay or for their intended playstyle, that kind of stuff, or anything that's just like kind of extra, that kind of stuff is going to be primarily gained through story mission rewards or through the intervention mission rewards, and it adds a bit of extra incentive to do some of that extra stuff because you get to play with new toys, and everyone likes new toys. But looks like we got it. So we'll be able to invade Mandalore, and then we'll take a look at some of the new stuff. Once we have the influence up, there's a few things you can recruit. So we lost basically an SSD. I will have to rebuild that. We got a good chunk of money already, though, too. So I'm going to get a pirate base on Argonar, maybe? Because we should have construction stuff on most places anyways. Let's do it somewhere that's a bit less vulnerable. Maybe we'll do it on Bomas Quarry. So we'll do that on Bomas Quarry. That'll replace a heavy frigate shipyard. That's fine. But let's also take a look at building some of our other higher tier units, because I spawned most of the patron units are already starting forces. So let's get Arcadia's Bloody Revenge, Acutus Providentium, and I'm going to build something at Cutric. So we're going to get anti-disestablishmentarianism at Cutric. All right. Let's start moving them in. I am just going to save as well, because I do that very compulsively. The way that we do starting forces is also fairly different in this release. So currently a lot of them are generated because we have like 800 planets in the mod. So we started off with a generated setup, and then we're going to be manually going through and setting up as many of the planets as we can over this release and the next release, just to kind of make life a little bit easier on us. But the rules we have set up for it now go more in the direction of having infrastructure set up at the start, and then there's fewer starting units, whereas before it was a lot more heavy on the units and fewer structures. This should make it so that there's a bit more difficulty if you're trying to just completely blitz off the top. You'll take more losses if you try to attack too many stations. You'll have fewer units to use in that. But on the flip side, if you're a newer player that's less experienced, or you want to turtle more, it'll be a bit less overwhelming if you get attacked by a couple people at once. So there's less possibility for that. So it tends to work out as an improvement in game pace for basically all player skill levels. And it also means that your credits, rather than using a predetermined set of units from the start and putting all your credits into structures, you'll be able to not have to worry as much about the structures off the start, and you'll have a more customized fleet based on what you want to use rather than what we've given you. So it should be an improvement all around, but we'll see how it all works out. I don't know why I sent Sora to do that. Okay, I'm going to deploy you. And like, we don't have the biggest army right now. I've actually given myself fewer units than you normally would have, because I wanted to set up some of the patron units as starting units. But that does mean on ground I have very little. So generally the ground-based setups are going to be a bit heavier than what we've got here. It's usually a couple units. But I think we're good in there. And I think we need to get you over here. Oop, they got the fun little pulse tanks. Okay, I'm going to send these back. I was kind of just using them to tank for the infantry at first, but I don't want to actually lose the unit. And as long as we have the artillery, I think we're probably okay. Like, I don't want to move up too much, because I'm not confident in our ability to just kill everything. I did make sure for this playthrough that I was actually giving myself the orbital bombardments on all the patron units, because I normally don't do that. But with the last couple playthroughs being as hard as they were, I was like, yeah, I want all my tools back. It's part of why I don't want to do cruel in this playthrough right off the start, at least, because I suffered enough in the Mandalorian and Maldruid playthroughs. They were fun, but I want something a little bit less stressful off the start. Maybe we'll be able to turn that on later, unless I just like get Grievous skilled here. So this is a fun Forces of Corruption bug, where the units that you put into a transport like this, the firing bones stay at the place where they were picked up until they get out. So that's why we are getting shot from seemingly nothing there. Is this the new bomber? Yes. So this is actually a new bomber type, the ESTAP, I think that is. So we're getting to see some of this stuff pretty early. All right, let's go and get the victory point. That's going to be an absolute waste of the bomber, but oh well. I don't think we need to worry about too much more. They did retreat, so I'm going to let them keep doing that. And where is Sora? Sora, get up here. I want to make sure that we can kill whatever comes over the bridge. We're probably going to win off of the victory point. But I can send Sora in for the tanks. Like, I think we're going to try to focus a bit more on the north side of the map first, because that's not necessarily something I do that often in my CIS playthroughs, even though anything would be kind of new now with the maps being redone. Oh. Well, that's sad. All right, well, just don't get run over. Thank you. And I should actually send you back. Okay, we're gonna have an orbital bombardment. We're technically just getting a standard mercenary or militia spawn setup, but the Mandalorians themselves are technically a non-playable faction, but still a faction, so they'll have more of their own stuff set up for starting forces and for use over the next while. Like, the next release we do after 0.3 is going to be, well, first off, kind of fittingly 0.4, but the Hutts are going to be the big new playable faction there, and so that's going to be a third playable faction in Fall of the Republic, but they are going to have a government mechanic that relates to them joining the Shadow Collective. I almost said Shadow Academy. Completely different thing. But yeah, so that'll involve like them having Maul as a hero. Because the Hutts did work with Maul for that. Technically, they joined him. But something just clicked in my wall when that happened. It scared the shit out of me. But technically, the Hutts joined Maul's thing, but it doesn't make sense to have something so small with so few forces as a playable faction on their own. Instead, it makes more sense for it to be the other way around. But Count Dooku says, for thousands of years, the Mandalorian clans were thorns in the Jedi's eyes. They might prove formidable weapons in battles yet to come, but be warned, their society is divided. Choose our allies wisely. So, we are going to let it roll through a bit. Oh, I could have taken you. But I think we're going to hold on here a little bit. So, we get a nice story choice that comes up. And we can either support Mandalore the Resurrector, Spar, and his Mandalorian Protectors, which gives us Spar, Fen Shaisa, Toiba Dalai, or Dala. That's an upside down. That's an upside down eye. Or we can support Pre Vizsla and Death Watch and get Pre Vizsla, Bo-Katan, and Lorca. We're doing this one. I guess I could leave that up to people in the comments. You know what? Yeah, let's do that. So let me know in the comments. You can either say support Mandalore the Resurrector or support Pre Vizsla. I'll count all the comments and then I'll make the actual decision in the next episode. And there's a 95% chance I'll listen to what you tell me to do. 95% chance. Not a 100% chance. We'll see how I feel about democracy after the fact. But let's let that go. So another thing you might notice is that it tells you the month and year. So the 22 BBY start actually is 6 months into the year, because Battle of Geonos is about halfway through. That's the way we've chosen to set it up, at least. But so there's the economic cycles. That's what you get paid on. But it makes it a bit easier to keep track with story events. We're able to tie them directly to years and months of the Clone Wars. So it's 2 cycles per month in Fall of the Republic. In Thrawn's Revenge, it's just 1 cycle is 1 month. In Revenge, 1 cycle is 1 month. But Fall of the Republic and the Clone Wars is a much more compressed story period, or much more compressed time period, time zone. It's something. So that's why they're different. But let's get you over to Yavin. We're going to be able to split some of these off, because we have more than enough forces on that. Alright, and we got our pirate base on Bomas Quarry. So we are going to be able to get a bunch of our fancy Sabayoth stuff. The Sabayoth destroyers were pretty popular picks for people, but we're going to try to go pretty heavily into the Sabayoths on this side. So let's go. Ooh, what's this? Ooh, what's this? A new ship. My voice is kind of messed up right now. I can't properly ooh, I'm very sorry. No way the ship is canon. It actually is. And slippery when wet. Because that's another set of new stuff for the CIS. You can do, instead of the regular construction yards, you can choose to have a pirate base, which gives you access to the Sabayoth units, which were, I think, good there. And let's go to Yagdol. I am going to want to get a few diamonds in the rough over here, because we're going to want to take Tibrin. That's kind of our next big thing. And we might be able to set those up, but I'd need to get some more ground units first. So I'm actually going to cancel Slippery When Wet right now. I'm going to get an AAT company, because these are all just going to be, yeah, that's 3 infantry squads we have on that. We don't have a hero in this area. So let's get Persuaders. I'm not actually sure where some of my heroes are, because right now they still spawn in some less than ideal places, because they end up getting overridden by certain things. But okay, that makes sense. We want to go to Felucia soon as well. Like, we want to try to connect as many of our planets as we can. But I think it makes sense to get a GAT. We do want to build some GATs early, because they are going to be unavailable later on. But I think we kind of want to get into the Republic Sector Forces planets before they're taken over, because they're going to start getting some missions as well, which will give them those planets back. And hopefully we're not over the planets when that happens, because I'm not sure if we've actually been able to fix that bug yet, where sometimes it just gets rid of your units instead of replacing them somewhere, which would be sad. All right. It's a heavy frigate shipyard, but I think we should be able to handle this. Okay, let's get the Rusted Strong. Let's get Arcadia's Bloody Revenge. We'll get Pekwaknamakis... Pekwaknamekosk Wask Way Pin Wanik. This is a mountain... it's a lake. It's a lake or a mountain out west. But I can't pronounce it properly. I'm sorry. After the Welsh town last time. I guess people just want me to suffer. Okay, where's my fighters? There we go. And I'm gonna go straight over here. Right, that's what lost me units last time, so I need to not do that. All right, let's send our E-Stap in there as well. I think we got enough fighters that we can just probably handle the base that way, or at least get some early damage in there. Belba Labs. Oh yeah, we have a good amount of bombers. I just need to make sure that we're not going to lose Arcadia's bloody revenge, because then Arcadia will in fact need some bloody revenge. Okay, you guys are still gonna go after Carricks. We need to make sure we're not just letting our bombers die, because they're starting to get some Corvettes in the area. I think I forgot to put in the patch notes that the spawns happen up away from the shipyard now. That would be a good thing to put in the patch notes. I should probably also do a video on the fact that the beta is open. So I'm always worried about getting flooded with too many bug reports at the start, but so far it's been all right. It hasn't been a huge scary mess like it often is. So I think we had a good amount of lead on the earlier testing with just the internal testers. We've had a relatively smooth dev cycle as far as that goes, so that's nice. And it's nice having like Fall of the Republic to do the overall systems testing first before getting to Thrawn's Revenge, which has a lot more content. So the content has to be more of a focus in testing compared to Fall of the Republic, where there's a bit less new content each time. Like there's a good amount for each faction, but with each faction already being pretty heavily developed, we don't have like a whole slew of new units for them. Even though we kind of do. I just like to tell myself we don't. Make myself feel better about what we're doing. Alright, we got another Providence there. Let's try to get these units sitting over Bespin. Oh, we should have a yeah. We do have a mission. So we need to build 2 captors, and we need to do that by week 9, or else they'll get mad at us. And that'll improve the Trade Federation relation. So I need a heavy frigate shipyard. An actual heavy frigate shipyard. I guess I can do it on Sullust. We're going to get 2 captors, and that should finish in the time it takes for the missions. I really wish we had the GAT and the AAT. But we should be able to just wait on that. And let's take a look. Severance, you're actually on Raxus. We have a lot of our heroes on Raxus. You know what? I'm going to take you 2 with your stealthiness, and I'm going to send you way down here. That's probably going to take a while. Okay. They conquered Cato Neomoidia. That's not great. I guess that means we're going to get Deco Neomoidia as our thing. Right now, the CIS missions don't actually give starting structures the same way. But that'll be a thing we need to adjust still. Not the biggest deal, though. How are we doing on those? That's still... Okay, we actually have those. Did we get the mission? Oh, shit. I'm an idiot. I'm an absolute moron. Build the heavy factory. I don't know why I don't know why I read the reward. Building under construction. It's just... Beginning construction. I knew I was reading the reward when I did it. I said it anyways, and then I just built things. Okay, this is why people need to read. That was me just demonstrating what not to do for people. I'm just gonna cancel that. I don't deserve the persuaders. So that'll give the 2 captors. And yeah, it is Trade Federation. Okay, I doubted everything that I've done in my life after that. But you also see food and parts are not the resources of the day anymore. Instead, you have an infrastructure score, which takes some of the ideas that were behind food and parts, but makes it easier to understand and more connected to what's going on in the game. Basically, any open slot on space or ground for structures takes away infrastructure score. Anything that you have filled adds to your infrastructure score. If you're 0 or lower, you get some of the negatives that food and parts had when you had a deficit. If you have like basically everything filled, you will get faster production. So encourages you to build up more, stop some snowballing, but doesn't have some of the downsides that food and parts did. So it should hopefully be easier for people to understand. There's some extra nuance to parts of it, but that's the short version. All right, that's 99. We got it. We got them at Mimban, so it actually tells you where stuff is spawning now, and now I can be less embarrassed about building the stupid, Oh, and I haven't looked at Mandalore for a little while, because we do need to get our influence up on Mandalore, so we want to build it up as much as we can. If you max out your space stations and you max out your ground bases, that's 1 influence extra per, because we got rid of the farms and parts factories, which would raise influence. So I'm also going to get the local infrastructure, because we need to get to influence level 8. So I'm going to start off with the barracks, and then, you know what, I will just go straight in for those. So we'll get 2 lights, 2 barracks, and an influence, or a local make me happy building. I'm going to get a J1, but we are going to be able to invade Tibrin. Because Dirge and Ventress just got here. We have enough to get through. I need to not pause the game when I do that. Alright, they have one of the new units there as well, the VAAT. VAAT, which I think at least is new this release. We've used some in some of the prior TR playthroughs. They've been capturable from abandoned factories and stuff. So if you've watched the last few playthroughs, you've probably seen them before. I can never remember exactly when certain things happen. That's a me problem, but hopefully I'm not far off on that. All right, Dirge, you're just going to jet your way over there, buddy. We can use you as Ravis for when we get to Imperial Reign's new canon content. I don't think I need another field base or anything. I don't think there's that many enemy units here, and we have 2 really powerful heroes. We have a good amount of our own units. It's only a Sector Forces planet, so it shouldn't be that bad. We need to try not to get our Gats killed. Okay, Ventress. Just get over there then. Okay, we want to capture those. We want to capture you. I just don't want to use Ventress for it, because she's going to be up front. Got to be up front about these things. So one other thing that is going to be different from some prior playthroughs, or from most recent prior playthroughs, is I'm not planning on streaming the recordings of this playthrough. I'm going to try doing them all offline. We'll see how that goes. I feel like I'm a bit more able to concentrate on talking about either changes or keeping the right energy in the offline recordings. And that'll also mean for our streams, I'll be doing some other stuff that I have planned. But we'll see how that goes and how people feel about it. I said I need to keep them alive, and then I got them basically all killed right away. So that checks out. Alright. Come on. Ventress. You are probably just going to kill all of them. Yep, you're good. Oh, we've only lost one of the gets, so that's still going to be fine. So we can kill the planetary shield, and then that'll be ready in time for the bombing run and orbital bombardment. Okay, the VATs are going to be quite good, but I think we've got them covered. The VATs are another unit that is primarily going to be seen in mission pools or reward pools, starting forces, that kind of thing. So a lot of the mission reward exclusive units can actually be seen in starting forces pools right now, so you do get a bit more variety in those as well. But primarily, they'll be starting forces. Oh, I guess I didn't actually... Well, we haven't really invaded a Republic planet yet, but we do have a new set of Republic structure models. I did a standalone video on those, but since these are the sector forces, they are not using all of them, but they are using the Senator's Office model. So this is the new government building for the Republic. And this is the bombing run from the new bomber unit, destroying the Senator's Office for the Republic. And this is the victory screen, which says we are victorious rather than missing, like Voltox. Voltox. Garbage. Okay, so that got us Druckenwell, actually. So we'll see which of our allied planets we're actually able to get from the missions. But I think with that, we are going to leave it there for the first episode. I'm going to be trying to do generally 45 minutes for most of the episodes this playthrough, but we're going to leave it a little bit shorter on this first one. Hope you're all looking forward to the mod coming out soon. The playthrough that's coming up now, just generally good things are happening in your life, I hope. I don't know. If not, then I'm sorry to hear that. But thanks again for watching. Hope to see you next time. Bye, everyone.